I knew my wife might die that night, and the worst part wasn't the storm or the blood or the panic. It was the fact that I was standing 10 feet from her and still couldn't reach her. And the reason, a clipboard-wielding HOA president who convinced herself I was some drug-crazed intruder trying to break into my own neighborhood. The moment those gates slammed shut in my face, I realized I wasn't fighting nature or bad luck. I was fighting the very people who were supposed to keep us safe. My name's Ethan, and I've lived in Lakewood Estates for 4 years. Quiet streets, manicured lawns, residents who wave when they remember to, and an HOA board that treats this place like it's a private country club they personally founded. My wife Rachel and I moved here for the peace and order, which in hindsight sounds like the punchline to a joke I should have seen coming. Rachel was 38 weeks pregnant, glowing 1 minute and exhausted the next, but so ready to meet our son. We'd packed the hospital bag. We had a plan. And like every good plan, it completely fell apart at the worst possible time. A storm rolled in that night, the kind that shakes the windows and makes the lights blink just long enough to make you whisper, "Please don't go out." I was in the garage organizing some old tools when I heard Rachel call my name, not loud but sharp, the kind of sound that makes your stomach drop before your brain even processes it. When I reached her, she was gripping the counter, breathing hard, eyes wide. "My water broke," she whispered. "Something feels wrong." I didn't think. I moved, grabbed the bag, helped her to the car, called the hospital, and then we hit the gate. Lakewood Estates has one of those motorized HOA gates that open slower than a garage door built in the 70s. Usually annoying tonight, potentially deadly. And standing right in front of it, blocking the exit lane like she was directing traffic on her private runway, was none other than Karen Mallory, our beloved HOA president. If you've never met someone who looks like they permanently smell something unpleasant, let me introduce you to Karen. Perfect blowout neon safety vest she absolutely didn't need, and a clipboard thick enough to flatten a small raccoon. She marched toward my car, waving her hand like I was an airplane taxiing in the wrong direction. "Ethan Cole," she said, not even glancing at Rachel in the passenger seat. "You cannot use this exit lane. It's for emergency vehicles only." I remember staring at her, rain running down my neck, and saying, "Karen, this is an emergency. My wife needs the hospital right now." But her eyes weren't on Rachel. They were on me. Specifically, the stained work shirt I was wearing, the one I'd spilled iodine on earlier when repairing a medical device for a neighbor. A normal person would have asked, "Hey, what's that?" But Karen wasn't normal. Karen gasped like she'd uncovered a cartel hideout. "You're on something," she hissed. "Those stains, I've seen that before. You're not taking your vehicle out of here, not while you're unstable." I laughed at first. An honest, confused, "Are you serious?" laugh. But she doubled down, stepping in front of the gate access panel like she was guarding Fort Knox. "I'm flagging your household in the HOA system," she announced, stabbing digits into her tablet. "Threat alert activated." The panel beeped. Then the gate locked hard. A red light flashed. Rain pounded the pavement. And inside the car, Rachel groaned, clutching her stomach, whispering, "Ethan, something's wrong. I can't." I snapped back to reality. "Karen, open the gate," I said, stepping closer. "Right now. My wife is bleeding. I need to get her to the hospital." But she shook her head, planting her feet like she was preparing for a standoff. "You will not intimidate me," she barked. "I know what I saw. You smell like chemicals. You're sweating. Your eyes are wide. You're high. I've taken the HOA safety course. I know the signs." I swear to God, in that moment I almost forgot how to breathe. My wife was slipping in and out of consciousness, and this woman, this neighbor, was too busy playing rent-a-cop to notice. A security guard jogged over, clearly nervous. "Ma'am, should we maybe let him through?" he asked carefully. Karen wheeled on him. "Anyone who touches that gate loses their job and gets fined. He is not leaving. Do you understand me?" The guard swallowed and stepped back. And that was it. The first spark of real fear hit me. Rachel's breathing grew shallow. Her head leaned to the side. When she opened her eyes, they were glossy, unfocused. "I don't feel good," she whispered. My heart cracked straight down the middle. I tried pounding the guard booth window. No answer. I called 911, and the dispatcher told me an ambulance was coming, but the storm was slowing response times. I looked at Rachel again, her lips pale, her hands shaking, and the guilt hit me like a truck. Maybe I should have insisted we move out of this neighborhood. Maybe I should have pushed harder to avoid every argument with Karen. Maybe I should have carried Rachel to the damn hospital myself. I hated the thoughts. Hated how helpless they made me feel. Hated that a part of me wondered if this whole thing was somehow my fault. But then through the sound of rain someone shouted my name, Ethan. Oh my God, what's happening? It was Emily Chen, a young ER nurse who lived 2 streets over. She took one look at Rachel and her face drained of color. "She's losing blood," Emily said, voice steady but urgent. "This is an obstetric hemorrhage. You need to get her out, now." Emily turned to Karen. "Open the gate." Karen squared her shoulders. "Absolutely not. He's under a threat flag. Until it's cleared, no one moves." Emily gaped at her. "She is going into shock, Karen. This is medical." "I don't care," Karen snapped. "Rules are rules, and this man is dangerous." Emily stepped closer, peering at my shirt. "That's iodine," she said. "It's from medical kits, not drugs." "Karen, what are you doing?" Karen stubbornly lifted her chin. "Protecting the community." I don't know what broke first, the sky or my patience. But lightning cracked overhead, the power flickered, and suddenly the HOA camera system glitched to life on the screen behind the guard booth. The storm must have forced a reset, and the feed clearly showed Rachel slumped in the car seat, half-conscious, blood staining her dress. Everyone froze, even Karen. The guard whispered, "Ma'am, she needs help." But Karen, too, proud, too arrogant, too deep into her own fantasy of authority, still whispered, almost shaky, "No one touches that panel without my approval." That was the moment I stopped being afraid. It was the moment something old and buried inside me clicked back into place. I stepped toward Karen, not threateningly, but with a steadiness I hadn't felt in years. "Karen," I said quietly, "I used to be a U.S. Army combat medic. I've watched people die in front of me because someone with authority hesitated. You are about to make the same mistake. Open the gate." She stared at me, her confidence starting to crumble. But Emily didn't wait. She pushed past the guard, slammed her palm onto the emergency override, and shouted, "Open it!" The guard flinched, but then he hit the switch, and the gate jerked upward. I didn't say another word. I didn't look at Karen. I ran back to the car, started the engine with trembling hands, and floored it out of Lakewood Estates like the road was on fire behind me. The hospital was 17 minutes away. I did it in 8. Doctors rushed Rachel inside. Nurses swarmed. Voices overlapped, BP dropping, "Where's the attending prep?" Or 3, "We need pressure now," and I felt that same helpless nausea crawl up my throat. But instinct took over. I grabbed sterile gloves. I helped stabilize her on the gurney. I told the staff exactly where to apply pressure based on what I'd seen at the gate. Emily backed me up. The team moved faster. We bought her enough time for the surgeon to arrive. And when they pushed me back out of the OR covered in blood that wasn't mine, someone finally said the words I'd been dying to hear. "She's alive. Your son is alive. You got her here just in time." I could have collapsed. Instead, they sent me to the waiting area where 2 hospital administrators were already waiting for me. "Mr. Cole," one said stiffly, "we're here regarding an incident involving your HOA. Several witnesses have reported obstruction of an emergency medical situation." I didn't have energy for anger. I just gave them the truth. And later, after giving my statement, they brought me into a conference room where Karen sat at a long table, mascara-streaked hands shaking around the edges of her clipboard. She looked like someone who just realized the monster in the story was her. I didn't speak first. The HOA vice president did. "Karen, based on video evidence, security logs, and medical testimony, you intentionally blocked a resident from obtaining emergency care during a life-threatening situation. Effective immediately, you are removed from your position pending legal investigation." Karen's eyes filled, but she didn't deny it. She didn't argue. She couldn't. She whispered, I thought I was doing the right thing." I finally spoke then. "No, Karen, you thought you were in charge, and you almost killed my wife because of it." Her head dropped. No one defended her, not even herself. And that's where it ended. No cheers, no applause, no relief. Just the cold echo of consequences finally catching up. Because that night I learned something brutal about people like Karen. When pride becomes more important than someone's life, it stops being a neighborhood rule. It becomes a weapon. And some weapons need to be taken away.